The Adventures of Christopher Wells program, formerly scheduled at this time, is now broadcast at a new time on Tuesday evenings. Tune in for The Adventures of Christopher Wells next Tuesday and every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
You're alone in Paris, unable to speak the language, unable to cope with a gigantic conspiracy which seeks to convince you that you are mad. You are the victim of a plot from which there is no escape.
Escape. Produced, directed, and tonight written by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to Paris at the time of the Great Exposition, and one of the recurring legends of our time, in Alexander Wilcott's version of the story of The Vanishing Lady.
Another cup of tea, Bruce?
No, thank you, my dear. I just light up my pipe now and have a look at the Evening Standard.
I'd like another, please, Mother.
All right, Alice. Only one sugar, dear. We must watch our figures, you know.
Oh, what nonsense. A growing girl like Alice needs plenty of sugar.
See, Mother, Daddy approves.
Perhaps. But Mother is still boss.
Yes, Mother.
There's a dear.
Mother,
Yes, dear.
I've been thinking.
Yes, dear.
I've been thinking about my grandparents.
Oh,
I know all about Daddy's parents. How Grandfather Stanley commanded a dreadnought at the Battle of Jutland.
It was not a dreadnought, Alice. It was a heavy cruiser.
Oh, yes, heavy cruiser. And he got the VC, and how Grandmother Stanley was a volunteer nurse at Westerl Arch when the Zeppelins came over. And I know about your father, too, and how he died in India from his wounds, and how gallant he was at the Khyber Pass. But, Mother,
yes, dear.
you've never told me anything about Grandmother Winship.
Haven't I?
No, and I'd like to know something
Bruce.
The child's 16. I think it's time she knew.
But, Bruce.
And you'd probably feel better to get it off your chest.
about. What, Mother? What is it?
Well, my dear, I've never talked about your grandmother because I've always half believed that someday, somehow, she would come down our garden walk and... I know it sounds silly, and explain where she's been for the last 20 years.
Why? What happened to her?
I don't know. And I don't suppose I ever will.
Cynthia, darling, if it's going to upset you...
No, Bruce, you're quite right. It would be best to get it off my chest, as you put it. As you know, Alice, I was born and brought up in India. And I was about your age when my father was killed in the Khyber campaign. Mother decided to leave India for good and return to her old home in Warwickshire. However, since it was necessary for her to go to Paris to attend to some details of my father's estate, she decided that we should leave the P&O boat in Marseille and proceed by train. You may imagine the timidity with which we two unescorted ladies traveled across France, without the slightest knowledge of the language, and without, indeed, assurance that we could find a hotel room in Paris, though we had telegraphed for reservations from Marseille. You see, the Great Paris Exposition had just opened, and the city was jammed with visitors from all over the world. You may imagine our relief when we arrived at the Grand Hotel Universel and heard the clerk speak in quite understandable English.
Mademoiselle Winship, welcome, welcome. You will please to sign the register, air and air.
You have our reservation?
Oh, indeed, yes. Most fortunate, madame, that you telegraphed. For I have reserved for you the last room in the house.
Oh, I'm so relieved. Here, Cynthia. You may as well learn now to sign a register for yourself.
Oh, yes, Mama. Where do I write?
There in that line.
Oh, yes, I see.
Voila. You are fatigué from your journey, no? I shall have the boy show you to your rooms at once. Chasseur, chasseur!
Oui, monsieur.
Le compartment 342 pour mademoiselle et madame Winship, tout de suite.
Ah, bien, monsieur.
This is your baggage, madame?
Yes, these 6.
Le voilà le bagage.
Cynthia.
Il y a 6 pièces.
You'd best carry the little one with the medicine in it.
Yes, Mamma.
Pardonnez-moi, mademoiselle.
Thank you. I'll take that one. The little red one.
Très bien. This way, ladies.
Keep your eye on that porter, Cynthia. I don't trust this Frenchman.
Oh, Mamma. I don't think he'll make off with our things. Here's the lift.
3e étage.
3e.
Oh, I do wish we could have gone straight on to Southampton.
But you'd only have had to come back across the channel to see the solicitor, Mamma. We really saved time this way.
I suppose I mean I wish we hadn't come to Paris at all. Such a sinister place.
Oh, Mamma.
Voilà, le 3e.
This way, ladies. To the right. Attendez.
Eh bien?
338, 340, 342. Oh, voilà. Entrez, ladies.
Thank you.
Oh, what a lovely big room. And look, Mamma. French windows. And the park out there.
Ladies desire.
No,
and
thank
the
you.
square with the
Here.
statues on
Merci.
it. Oh, and look
Thank
at the
you,
river
ladies.
over there. And those beautiful, beautiful bridges. Oh, Mother, it's something out of a book.
Yes, my dear. That's the trouble with Paris. It's so attractive. But underneath it's evil.
And look at the furniture, the gilt clock, and this lovely marble table. Oh, Mamma, everything is so French.
I'll be very glad to be on my way to where everything's English by this time tomorrow. Now, come away from that window and help me get into something comfortable. There's it, dear.
Yes, Mamma, of course.
I don't know when I've been so tired. I just can't seem to catch my...
Mamma. Mamma, what's the matter? Mamma! Mamma, speak to me. Here, I'll get you up into the bed. There. Now, let me loosen your corset. Here, Mamma, here are the smelling salts. Breathe deeply, darling. Mamma. The telephone. I've got to get a doctor. Hello, operator. Will you please send a doctor up to room number... Oh, let me see. Number 342.
Pardon? Qu'est-ce que mademoiselle désire?
Will you please send a doctor to room number 342?
Je ne comprends pas. Qu'est-ce que mademoiselle
A
désire?
doctor? A doctor?
Ah, oui, un docteur. Oui, mademoiselle, tout de suite.
While I waited for the doctor, I did everything I could to think of to bring my mother back to consciousness. I massaged her fingers and toes. I put wet cloths on her forehead. I waved the smelling salts under her nose. But she lay silent and white and unmoving like one dead. Only the quick, shallow movement of her breast assured me she was not. And all the time another anxiety possessed me. What if this doctor could not speak English? How should I tell him the circumstances of Mother's unexpected fainting? How should I understand his instructions for treatment? I'm sure it was not long, although it seemed like an eternity before he arrived, accompanied by the manager of the hotel. And to my great relief, they both spoke English. The doctor felt Mother's pulse, took her temperature, and did the usual things that doctors do. Then he turned to the tail-coated hotel manager.
Parle-t-elle français?
Pas un mot.
Vous en êtes sûr?
Tout à fait.
Alors, je ne peux parler à mon aise. Monsieur, ceci, c'est une affaire très sérieuse. N'ayez pas l'air alarmé lorsque je vous mets au courant. Cette femme est atteinte de la peste.
De la peste.
Elle n'a qu'une heure à vivre. Je n'ai pas besoin de vous dire que
While
si
they
ceci se
talked in
connaît,
this
votre
language I couldn't
père
understand, I looked from one face to the other, trying to read from their expressions how serious my mother's illness was. But they were as casual as though they were ordering dinner. Finally, I could stand it no longer. They must. You must tell me. What is the matter with her?
Mademoiselle, your mother is ill, yes. Seriously ill. It is a collapse. Due perhaps to the strain of traveling. However, a week or two of absolute rest
A week
will...
or two. We were to go on to England tomorrow.
That would be out of the question. She cannot be moved for at least several days. Right now, she must have a complete rest. The next 24 hours will be critical.
Oh, Mamma. Poor Mamma.
Now, mademoiselle, you must not break down, too. I need your help.
Yes, Doctor.
Immediately, I need some medicine. Will you fetch it for me?
Why, yes.
I
but-
must not leave your mother for a moment during these critical hours. Here, I will write down this address and a little message to my wife.
Your wife?
Yes, I have the medicine already prepared at my home. It will be faster to go there for it than to a pharmacy. There are a few chemists who have the ingredients.
But couldn't you telephone?
Hélas, I have no telephone.
Well, then a messenger, perhaps.
Oh, mademoiselle, you do not know Paris en fête. With the exposition opening, nowhere can you find a reliable messenger. They are all selling souvenirs. No, mademoiselle, you will accomplish the errand more rapidly yourself.
Ah, voici l'adresse. Here's the address, 24 bis Rue Val-de-Grâce. And here is the message to give to my wife.
But I don't know Paris at all. I'm a total stranger here.
I'm sure the manager here will give the necessary instructions to the cabby.
Indeed, I will. If mademoiselle is ready.
Before I quite knew what was happening, I was seated in a rickety taxicab outside the hotel, with the doctor's message clutched in my hand, while the hotel manager gave a voluble direction to the cabby.
Un pouvoir assez grand pour remplacer cette vieille bagnole. Allez au petit bar, hein? Prenez la piste la plus circuiteuse et surtout ne soyez pas de retour en moins de 2 heures. Entendu?
Entendu.
Bon. It is arranged, mademoiselle. Jacques here is one of our most trusted cabbies. He will get you to the doctor's house and back in safety.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. And you will look after Mother, won't you?
Oh, indeed I will. Of that you may be sure.
When we left the hotel, we crossed a huge square with statues around it and turned into a wide avenue which led up a gentle incline, at the top of which was a huge arch. But before long, we turned off to the right into narrower streets. It must have been 20 minutes later when we turned into another wide boulevard, and I saw another huge arch up ahead. Or was it the same arch? Driver!
Mademoiselle?
Haven't we passed that arch before?
Regardez, mademoiselle, voici l'Arc de Triomphe, là-bas la Tour Eiffel et...
Driver, I don't want a sightseeing tour. I want to go to this address directly. Don't you understand? Please, now take me there at once.
En fait, sans mieux, de la patience, mademoiselle. Paris, c'est une grande ville, voyons.
At last we turned into a narrow street and pulled up before a grim grey house. The blue enameled sign on the wall read number 24 bis. I jumped out of the cab almost before it stopped, rushed up the 3 stone steps and pulled at the brass bell knob. Oh, hurry. Hurry, hurry, please.
Oui?
The doctor sent me for some medicine. Here, please read this.
Retenez cette jeune femme aussi longtemps possible. C'est de la plus grande importance pour l'avenir de Paris et même de la France. Oh, entrez, mademoiselle.
Thank you.
Quand vous ne pouvez plus la faire
The doctor's wife stood there reading and rereading the note as though she didn't understand it. And until I thought I would scream. Oh, please, please hurry. Get the medicine. It's my mother. She may be dying. I must get back to her. Please hurry.
Asseyez-vous.
She pointed to a chair.
Attendez.
And slowly walked down the hall and closed the door behind her. I waited. And waited. And I wondered. Wondered about the time the taxi had taken to get here. About that arch that looked so familiar. And I was torn by the 100 nameless anxieties that torture you when your nearest and dearest is ill. And then I heard something that froze my blood. A telephone. A telephone clearly ringing somewhere in the house. But the doctor had said he had no telephone. That was the reason I must come all the way for the medicine. No, it couldn't be in this house. It must be next door or across the street. Of course, that's where the sound was coming from.
Allô?
But no.
Oui, elle est ici maintenant.
It was the voice of the doctor's wife answering the phone. Oh, no. No, what monstrous plot was this? I felt my scalp crawl with terror. Brain pounded, my head felt as though it would burst. I wanted to scream, to run out of this awful house, to run all the way across Paris to the bedside of my mother.
Voilà, mademoiselle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
Now, driver, please. Please, in the name of your own mother, hurry back to the hotel as fast as possible. Please.
Ben oui, on fait de son mieux, mademoiselle. Roulant.
But my pleading was of no use. Either it was misunderstood or ignored. We crawled across Paris just as slowly as we had come, and I was certain I saw that same white arch 3 times. But at last we crossed the great square with the statues in it, and I knew we were close to the hotel. Please, please hurry.
Enfin, descends mieux, voyons.
Just beyond the great square, we turned up a narrow street, which shortly entered a wide circle, in the middle of which was a tall, slender monument. The driver swung around the monument and pulled up before the entrance of the hotel, reached back and opened the door.
Voilà, voilà, mademoiselle.
I jumped out of the cab. And then I saw the sign over the entrance. It said, Hotel Ritz. Driver, you've taken me to the wrong hotel. I'm staying at the Grand Hotel Universal.
Mais non, mademoiselle, je vous ai pris en Ritz, et je vous dépose en Ritz il y a 50 ans au
I don't
Marsan,
understand
et
what
je
you're
veux
saying,
toucher
but
ma
will you
tôle pour
please
le
take me to
pouvoir.
the Grand Hotel
Mais
Universal?
c'est ici que je vous ai pris, et c'est ici que je vous dépose.
Oh, you stupid, stupid man. Can't you understand? My mother is ill. You've taken more than 2 hours to get me to that doctor's house and back. Can't you understand? My mother is sick, perhaps dying.
Dieu, mademoiselle, les affaires ne me regardent pas. Donc, voici, allez, la
I looked
petite va
around.
me payer
A
les
small
25
group of passers-by
pour le
had stopped and were
pouvoir
listening
que vous me
curiously
devez,
to the
et je m'en
argument.
allais dîner.
Then they joined in and started taking sides. Everywhere I looked were foreign faces, strangers, enemies. And then, shouldering his way through the crowd, I saw a bareheaded young man in tweeds with a pipe clamped in his teeth. And before he had a chance to speak, I knew help had come.
I say, having some trouble?
Oh, thank heavens you're English.
All right, you are. What seems to be the matter?
I told him rapidly as I could, and he paid the mulish cabby,
Merci, monsieur.
popped me into another cab, and 5 minutes later we walked into the lobby of the Grand Hotel Universal. The manager was behind the desk. My mother, is she all right?
I beg your pardon?
My mother, Mrs. Winship in 342, is she all right?
Mademoiselle must be mistaken. There is no Winship in 342.
What?
342 is occupied by Monsieur Auguste Noailles, a permanent guest.
Don't you remember me? I'm Cynthia Winship. 2 hours ago, you put me into a taxi to go to the doctor's house for some medicine for my mother.
I am afraid that mademoiselle is mistaken. I have never seen her before in my life.
Well, look here, what is this?
No, listen, I swear it to you. It's just as I say. We signed the register less than 3 hours ago. We got in on the train from Marseille.
Well, let's have a look at the register.
Yes, I'll show you I'm in 342. Where is the register?
It is there, mademoiselle. You may see it for yourself. See, today's date. 14 guests registered, but I don't see any mademoiselle or Madame Winship. Do you?
No. What have you done with my mother? What have you done with my mother?
Please, mademoiselle.
You have done something
Please,
with I demand to
mademoiselle,
know.
I
What
should
have you
not
done
like
with
to
my
have
mother?
asked you to leave the hotel.
We'll get to the bottom of this.
Perhaps mademoiselle is mistaken. Perhaps she is registered at some other hotel.
No. This is the hotel. The Grand Universal. You were standing there when we arrived. You handed my mother the pen with which she registered. You came to the room with the doctor. You put me in the taxi.
But I assure you, mademoiselle, these are fantasies of your
Wait a
imagination.
minute.
What is it?
That bellboy there. He carried our baggage. He'll remember.
Garçon.
Oui, monsieur.
Vous vous souvenez avoir déporté le bagage de madame en numéro 342 cet après-midi?
Non, monsieur.
There were 6 pieces, don't you remember? You wanted to take them all, and I insisted on carrying the jewel case. It was a little red one?
Oh non, mademoiselle. C'est la première fois de ma vie que je vois mademoiselle.
He says he never saw you in his life before.
But this is monstrous. It's impossible. My mother is somewhere in this hotel. What have you done with her? What have you done with her?
Now then, how do you feel, Miss Winship?
Better, thank you. This soup was very nourishing.
No, won't you have something else? Salad, bit of roast?
Thank you, no. A cup of tea, perhaps?
Certainly. Garçon?
Monsieur?
Une tasse de thé pour mademoiselle.
Tout de suite, monsieur.
I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Do you realize I don't even know your name?
It's Bruce. Bruce Stanley.
I'm glad to meet you, Mr. Stanley.
It's a pleasure, Miss Winship.
Mr. Stanley, you believe me, don't you?
Of course I do, Miss
We
Winship.
did register at that hotel. We were in room 342. I can even describe the furnishings. There was a big window that went from the ceiling to the floor.
Well, every hotel room in Paris has windows like that, Miss Winship.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
Well, in this room, the draperies were plum-colored. There was a marble table, black marble it was, and a gilt clock. It had run down. The hands had stopped, I remember, at 20 minutes past 3. The walls were covered in rose brocade, and the bedspread was a washed-out yellow. Oh, if I could only get into that room, you'd see I'm not making this up. I'm not.
I'm sure you aren't. Perhaps I can find a way to make them let you in the room.
Oh, can you?
Well, yes, I'm with the embassy, undersecretary sort of thing. I believe the British Empire has enough influence to change the mind of an obstinate Paris innkeeper.
Then let's do it. Right away.
Well, I'm afraid the might of Britain can't move that fast. It's past dinner time. But tomorrow we'll see.
Tomorrow? But I must get into that room tonight. I have no money. Nowhere to sleep.
Well, we can do nothing with the people at the hotel. You saw that. We'll just have to be patient until tomorrow. I'm sure I can find a room for you tonight in a pension near the embassy.
You're so very kind. How can I ever thank you, Mr. Stanley?
Well, you might begin by calling me Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Oh.
What is it?
I just thought of something. The doctor.
The doctor?
Yes, the one the hotel manager brought in to look after Mother. I still have his address somewhere here in my purse. Yes, here it is. Oh, we must go there immediately. He can tell us about Mother.
Let's see. 24 bis Rue Val de Grace. Well, that's not far. It's just off the Boulevard Raspail near the Luxembourg.
How long would it take to get there by taxi?
Oh, about 10 minutes.
But it took over an hour this afternoon.
Voilà, monsieur, 24 bis, rue Val de Grace.
Well, here we are.
Yes, this is the place.
Attendez, mon vieux.
Très bien, monsieur.
The house is dark.
It's quite late.
Well, I don't care. We've got to find out tonight.
Qui est là? Qui sonne?
Where is he?
There at the upstairs window. Monsieur le docteur, c'est mademoiselle Stanley. Elle veut vous questionner à propos de sa mère.
Stanley, je ne connais pas mademoiselle Stanley.
He says he doesn't know you.
But he must. Doctor, don't you remember this afternoon? You sent me to your house for medicine for my mother.
Je ne comprends pas l'anglais.
He says he doesn't understand English.
Oh, the liar. The dreadful liar. He does. He speaks perfect
Et
English.
vous, jeune homme, je vous conseille de ne pas déranger le repos des gens comme il faut et de vous en aller avant que je n'appelle la police.
I'm sorry, Cynthia.
Oh, Bruce. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? If it hadn't been for Bruce, I'm certain I should have gone out of my mind. He found a room for me at a pension near the embassy, where I spent a sleepless night of anxiety, almost beyond endurance. Bruce called for me at 10:30 the next morning and took me back to the hotel. To my surprise, the attitude of the manager had changed completely.
Of course, mademoiselle may inspect room 342. We are only too glad to convince mademoiselle that her mother is not and never was in the Grand Hotel Universel.
Why,
I personally will escort you to the room. This way, please, to the ascenseur.
Oh, Bruce, that terrible man. That horrible.
Cynthia, don't let him upset you.
Monsieur, 3e étage. 3e, monsieur.
Now, remember what I told you last night, Bruce. You'll see plum-colored draperies, black marble-top table, rose walls, and a gilt clock with the hand stopped at 20 minutes past 3. You'll see.
Yes, Cynthia.
Voilà, le 3e. This way, gentlemen. It was room 342 you wish to see, mademoiselle?
Yes, that's right. Third door to the right.
So.
You see, Bruce? I know where it is.
Yes, madame.
Here we are. Voilà. Enter, please.
Now, Bruce, you shall see the yellow bedspread. Oh.
Not quite the room you just described in the elevator, mademoiselle. The drapes are royal blue.
No.
Oh, a little dusty affair. I must have this room renovated. You see, there is no marble-top table.
No.
The clock, as you notice, is running.
No.
And right on time, it seems. The walls are not rose brocade, but yellow-flowered wallpaper.
No.
Now, my dear mademoiselle, you see how thoroughly mistaken you are.
No, They had tried to make me think I was mad. They succeeded. I remembered nothing until I awoke in my aunt's house in England 2 weeks later. Thanks to Bruce, who never left my side, during those terrible days when my sanity hung in the balance. Well, that's the story, Alice. That's why I've never been able to talk about your grandmother Winship.
Oh, Mother, how horrible.
Because all these years, I've clung to the foolish hope that somehow she'd come back and tell us herself what happened.
You poor dear.
You may as well dispel that hope forever, Cynthia.
What?
Since you have at last brought yourself to discuss your mother's disappearance, I think it's time you knew the true facts.
Bruce.
Your mother died 20 minutes after you left the hotel on that fool's errand for the doctor.
Oh, no.
She died of the bubonic plague. She'd caught it in India before she sailed. The doctor recognized the symptoms the moment he examined her. He told the hotel manager in French in your presence. They agreed that the matter must be kept completely secret. If the news leaked out that there was a case of plague in Paris, the city would have been emptied of visitors and the exposition would have been a failure.
Oh, Bruce.
The conspiracy of silence began in the hotel. The bellboy was paid to claim he never saw you. The taxi driver was paid well to take you to the doctor's house by the most roundabout route. The note to the doctor's wife advised her to detain you as long as she could. And the taxi driver added his own imaginative touch by returning you to the Ritz instead of the Universal. I shudder to think what might have happened if I hadn't come through the Place Vendôme just then.
But you didn't know.
Not then.
When did you find out?
Next morning. By then, the conspiracy had grown to international proportions. The embassy had been advised. If the exposition was a failure, the franc would fall, the pound sterling would be affected, that sort of thing. I knew when we went back to the hotel you would not find your plum drapes and rose-colored walls and black marble-topped table.
And you let me go through with that?
What could I do? I was acting under orders. I knew that the hotel had completely fumigated and redecorated the room overnight, and everything was in readiness to repudiate your story. I had to let the last act of that dreadful farce play to its dreadful end.
Mother. What did they do with Mother?
Her body was removed from the room less than 30 minutes after you left it, and immediately burned.
Why? Why didn't you tell me this years ago? Why did you let me go on all this time?
This is the first time you have ever mentioned your mother since then, my dear.
Alice.
Yes, Mother?
There's a new issue of the Tatler in the library, dear. Wouldn't you like to look at it?
But, Mother, I want to...
Now, dear. Want to have a talk with your father.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, has brought you The Vanishing Lady by Alexander Wolcott, adapted for radio by Mr. Robeson. Cynthia was played by Joan Banks. Bruce was played by Hy Averback. The hotel manager and cab driver were played by Ramsey Hill. The musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fewer. Next week...
You are deathly afraid of snakes, and between you and a fortune, between you and escape, yawn the white jaws of a deadly cottonmouth.
Next week, we escape with Irvin S. Cobb's famous story, Snake Doctor. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Adventures of Christopher Wells program, formerly scheduled at this time, is now broadcast at a new time on Tuesday evenings. Tune in for The Adventures of Christopher Wells next Tuesday and every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
were standing at the doorway of a cabin on Cashier Creek. Up on the ridge, the bloodhounds have caught your scent. And between you and a fortune, between you and escape, yawn the white jaws of a deadly cottonmouth.
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to the worn-out acres of a poor white trash farmer somewhere in the southern mountains. In Irvin S. Cobb's great tale of vengeance, Snake Doctor.
This story is about snakes and two men. One man was afraid of snakes and the other wasn't. The one who wasn't was known along Cashier Creek as Snake Doctor. His cabin was near the creek bottomland where there's a powerful lot of cottonmouths. And he earned his meager living by rendering down their soft fats, bottling the oil, and selling it. For everyone knew there was no remedy for rheumatism like snake oil. Snake Doctor was harmless enough, but there were folks who honestly believed that he was a colleague of Beelzebub just because he wasn't afraid of snakes. And that's not all they believed about him. Now, the man who was afraid of snakes was Jafe Morner, who was Snake Doctor's nearest neighbor. Jafe was the kind of man we all know who suspected, feared, and hated anything he didn't understand. And he understood neither Cottonmouths nor the Snake Doctor. In short, Jafe was ornery, ignorant, and shiftless. He'd rather shoot squirrels and chop cotton. He'd rather fish than hoe corn. And that's just what he's doing now, fishing down at the Big Hole with his son and heir, Finney, who's old enough but not quite bright enough to handle a gun.
Missed him, doggy.
Finney, you blame fool. I told you not.
He gets in the creek.
What?
The cottonmouth. Tramp on him in front of you.
Cottonmouth? Where's the varmint? Unearthly
You
varmint.
got him. You got him. Keep your foot on him while I fetch a stick.
You don't need to, son. Yeah, he's dead. Now, come here.
How'd you hit anything that rifle, Pa? I had a bead drawed on him right and I couldn't...
You darn fool.
Oh,
Find
Pa.
out a blame snake whilst I'm a-fishing?
Heck, you was sunning yourself not more than to there from you. How'd you like to get yourself bit?
Won't be no fish around here till thunderation after all that racket. Well, come on, let's go home and get us some victuals.
Jafe Morner tossed his bait can into the creek and threw a stick after it. He stood there watching the stick drift slowly toward the Big Hole, where the creek widened behind a jam of driftwood. Jake watched as the eddy caught the stick and sucked it beneath the dam. Jafe was curious. He moved downstream a rod or two and waited, watching the water boil up from under the driftwood. But the stick didn't come up. That was strange. Must have caught under there in a tangle of water-soaked and sunken logs. Probably it'd stay there for months. Maybe stay there always. Jafe considered this, and an idea began to form in his slow mind as he and Finney started home.
Hey, Pa. How much oil you reckons in this one? Pa? Pa?
What you jawing about, son?
This old cottonmouth. How much oil
Throw
do you
it down.
Throw it down? Why?
Throw it down like I say. I'll make you wish.
Pa. I was aiming on rendering the old cottonmouth's fat like the Snake Doctor does. Maybe sell it and make myself some money.
I don't like a squirming things around me.
But it's dead.
Leave it where it dropped. Now, come on home.
You was scared on cottonmouths, Pa?
I know better than to get myself bit by 'em.
Tip Bailey knowed a fella got himself bit once. And there wasn't a drop of liquor for miles. So he goes to work and cuts open a live chicken and Puts it by his leg where the bite was, and fella lived, too.
Yeah.
Reckon Mr. Rives ever gets himself bit, Pa? Handling cottonmouths like he does?
Who?
Mr. Rives.
Who?
Mr. Rives. That's old Snake Doctor's real name. Ma says I oughtn't to call him Snake Doctor.
Never mind what your ma says. Nobody in my family's calling no snake-loving scum Mr. Rives.
Heck, that's what I say.
We'll see what you do.
Sure, Pa. You know, I could have made myself some money rending that cottonmouth's fat down into oil. How much you reckon old Snake Doctor makes out in the oil he sells?
I don't know.
Tip Bailey says old Snake Doctor's got more than $1,000 hid away somewheres in his cabin.
More than that, most likely. Cussed old miser don't spend nothing. Ain't got nothing save that old rack-of-bones mare.
Tip Bailey says whenever old Snake Doctor sets foot out in his place, he's got the granddaddy of all cottonmouths that he leaves out in the cabin to stand guard on his money. Tip Bailey says he seen old Snake Doctor put him in his pocket. Live cottonmouths.
Snake Doctor ain't fitting to be alive itself.
Oh, Ma says he ain't bad. Says he don't mean nobody harm.
Your ma better be careful who she's associating with.
She says he don't have good sense. Had the fever too much, she says. You ever been in the Snake Doctor's cabin, Pa?
I don't have nothing more than I have to do with that snake-loving hoodoo.
Tip Bailey says he bet wouldn't be no task at all for some no-good to poke around in the Snake Doctor's shack and find all the money and make off with it. Oh, this blame son done near rendering me down. Look at my head, full of sweat, Pa. Here, look it. See? Done near gourd full of sweat come off me. Why you turn down that way, Pa? It's come on noon. Dinner be most ready.
I'm gonna tell the snake-loving hoodoo that there's some of them cottonmouths on the creek side of our deadening.
Oh, heck, he knows that.
I'm gonna tell him he's got my leave to catch him. You don't need to come along if you don't want it.
Well, if you're going over to his place, I'd kind of like to see it my own self. Go on in, Pa. He ain't to home, else he'd have showed himself by now.
I reckon so.
Can you see any of the snakes,
I told
Pa?
you to keep an eye out for him.
I bet it's in one of them chinks, Pa. I bet the money's in
I
one
ain't
of
looking
them...
for no money. Must be a dang snake itself living in a place like this.
Pa, I know you ain't looking for any money, but if and you was, wouldn't you look in that chink right up there?
Where, son?
Right there, second log by the fireplace on the right. You see that there hole?
Yeah. I reckon I would look up there.
Well, since we're here.
Might as well see for myself.
Oh, I wouldn't be a mite surprised if old Snake Doctor... Pa.
Huh?
Somebody's out on the porch. It's the Snake Doctor.
You're looking for something, Chief Mourner?
Yeah, I was looking for you.
I want you.
Yeah. Look here, you old hoodoo. What's the idea of sneaking up on folks who took the trouble to come all the way down here to do you a favor?
Yes, sir. Like as not, that old Snake Doctor had a dang moccasin squirching around in his pocket whilst he was talking to you, Pa. Did you mind how his eyes was when he come in? Dang, if it wasn't blazing like when you run across a little rabbit or a cat in the dark. Scared me out of 10 years' growth. Dang if it didn't. And did you mind how I kept looking up at the wall where I said I bet he had the money between the chinks
Finney.
up there? Huh?
Finney, don't you say nothing to your ma about us being at the snake doctor's place, you understand?
Why should I,
Just
Pa?
don't. And don't you go nigh it again. Cuss old varmint, you'd have thought we was prowlers the way he acted.
Finney, that you out there?
Yep, Ma. Dinner about ready.
You pour with your son?
Yeah. Have I time enough for dinner to go down the spring get me some more cold water?
And if you stir your stomach, kid.
Hurry it up, son. I'm hungry.
Yeah, Pa.
Catch anything, Jay?
How you think I can catch fish with Finney firing off my gun at cottonmouths all the time?
Ain't this heat more than the body can bear?
Yeah.
Any cooler by the creek?
No.
Oh, that poor old Miss Rives come by here a spell ago. Mine and I shook to pieces with a chill.
Oh, he come by, did he? Well, did he come in?
Just for a minute.
Just for a minute, eh? What'd he want?
He wanted could I give him something for his ailment. He just about could drag one sour foot for the other. Barely could make it up here from his place. I reckon he must be down in bed with the fever by now. I could tell by the touch it was rising in him when he left here and started back home again. I gave him a dose out in our butler's Aga drops. I would have given him a little smidgen of liquor.
Oh, you would, huh?
Oh, please don't, Jake. Don't want me. Just poor old Miss Rives.
Mr. Rives. Mr. Rives. How many times I gotta tell you that the old hoodoo's name is Snake Doctor?
He don't mean nobody no harm.
Him that'd skin a louse for its hide and tallow, and you calling him Mr. Rives. You'll be calling him Honey and Sugar next. Well, without I learn you better.
Please, Jay, please.
Paired names, huh? Tell by the tatch, could you? Well, I aim to learn. What's his name now? Well, what's your poor Mr. Rives' name now?
Snake Doctor.
Kizzy Mourner rubbed the ugly red welt on her scrawny arm and gave the frying pan full of sizzling side meat a hopeless nudge. She prayed that the weight of the victuals might take the edge off Jafe's temper. Finney slouched in from the spring and saw the mark on her arm.
Pa been whomping you again, Ma?
She didn't answer.
What'd you do this time?
She silently dished up the hogback and cornbread for 2 men, and while they sat at table, she ate on her feet, serving them between bites, as was the custom in the Mourner household. After dinner, Finney stretched out under the chinaberry tree, and Kizzy sat on the porch fanning herself and dipping snuff with a peach twig, scouring it back and forth on her gums. Jafe took his ease on the floor of the back room, but he didn't sleep. One thing he'd seen that day, and another thing he'd heard. He was adding them together. That stick that had disappeared under the log jam, and the Snake Doctor's money. It was 4 o'clock before any of them stirred, and then Jafe spoke to his wife for the first time since noon.
Where's that there vial of drinking liquor, Kizzy?
By the window. You took it out in your pocket after you laid down.
I ought to carry a vial of drinking liquor with me, Ma. I might get bit by an old moccasin as soon as Pa would.
Well, you better not let me catch you. You find it, Jay?
I just remembered I won't be needing to tote no spirits along with me while I'm going.
I wouldn't take no chance, Jay. Just one cottonmouth bite.
Cottonmouths all down the slashes, also along a creek. Well, I'll be this evening's up on Bailey's Ridge in the high ground.
You fixing to go shooting?
I aim to gun me a chance of young squirrels between now and dusk time.
Reckon I'll come along, Pa.
You're staying here, son.
Oh, dang it. Be steaming in the place when the rain comes down. Pa, you might be needing me.
You stay here.
Oh, Pa.
And Kizzy set me up a snack of cold supper on the shelf. Likely I won't get back till it's plumb dark.
Jafe Mourner turned north through his struggling cornrows, and in a minute he was lost from sight. He kept on for nearly a mile until he came to a wild red mulberry tree. Where mulberries are, they're bound to be squirrels. Very neatly, he shot 2 young grays through the head. But Jafe was a master marksman, and unsuspected by any who knew him. Jafe had another quality denied most of his kind. He had an imagination. Today it was in excellent working order. He tied the brain squirrels together and swung them over his shoulder. If needed, they would be his alibi. Then he sat down under a tree a while.
Yeah, I got plenty of time. Don't need to get down to Snake Doctor's place till about dusk when he comes out to feed that swayback mare of his'n. Mr. Rhymes.
He sat out 2 brisk thunder showers and the intervals between them. Then he started off in a wide arc down Bailey's Branch along the skirts of Little Cypress Slats to the sunken flats edging Cashier Creek. Took more than an hour careful traveling before he came to his destination, a screen of haw bushes, less than 50 yards behind the Snake Doctor's cabin.
No matter how ailing he is, he'll get up and come out to feed that rack-of-bones mare. Mr. Rhymes. I'll learn him to go colleaguing around another man's woman.
Jafe Marner let his jealousy heat him to a white hatred. At this moment, he was avenging his honor, and thus was spared the embarrassment of admitting to himself that the real reason he was here was the Snake Doctor's money hidden behind the log by the fireplace.
The home-wrecking, snake-loving varmint. 10 minutes from now, I'll chunk him down the big hole in the creek like I did that stick this morning, and he'll go down and never come out. And nobody'll miss him. Nobody'll know he's gone for leastwise a week, maybe a month. And maybe if I get around to it, I might come back this way someday. Poke around that cabin of his'n.
Jafe Marner's speculations were cut short. The cabin door opened, and a figure stepped out into the growing dusk and walked toward the stable. He saw the Snake Doctor's loppy old straw hat and his dark coat drawn over a pair of hunched, narrow shoulders. At this distance, he couldn't miss. And he didn't. The figure jerked backward and then went face forward. Jafe started for him, and then he stopped. His eyes bugged. His mouth formed a scream that he couldn't utter. His rifle dropped to the ground. He had just killed the Snake Doctor, killed him dead with a .32 caliber slug through the head. And there on his doorsill stood Snake Doctor, whole and sound and staring at him.
Jafe Marner, what you done?
The scream came at last, for Jafe Marner had seen the devil, this Snake Doctor who arose alive from his bullet-riddled body. Jafe whirled and ran into the deep, darkening woods, whimpering like a whipped puppy as he tore through the brush. Escape. He must escape. He must get under the shelter of a sound roof, have the protection of 4 walls around him. So he ran and ran for hours. It was close to midnight when he came out on a dirt road a short distance southeast of his deadening. Beyond the next bend, he'd be in sight of home. Then he stopped. Around the bend, coming toward him, was a joggling light, a lantern hanging on a buggy. Jake flattened himself in a clump of brush to hide until the traveler passed. And then, just as the rig was opposite him, he heard a call coming from the other direction.
Hold there, hold now, steady. Hold. Me, it's Davis Ware. Is that you, Tip Bailey?
Yep. Hoping it out from the junction. Tolerable tired, if anyone should ask you. What brings you out this time of night, Davis? Somebody sick?
Sick? Nothing. There's been hella popping in these here bottoms tonight. Steady, boy, steady.
Now, what you mean?
A killing, that's what I mean. A dirty, cold-blooded killing if there ever was one.
Don't say. Who's gotten killed?
I'm fixing to tell you. It happened just around dusk time at old Snake Doctor's place.
Yeah? Him was killed?
Now, just give me time now.
Yeah?
It seems like Snake Doctor's been a chilling lately.
Uh-huh.
He's pretty bad off today. Yesterday. And so long about 5 o'clock when the rain was a-lulling a little bit, why, Miss Kitty Warner, see, she footed it down from her place to his and fetching some physic with her and a plate of hot victuals.
Miss Warner's a mighty thoughty one for doing things for folk.
Don't you want to hear this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, seems like she wasn't afeard of the Snake Doctor's place.
Well, I'd have been all over that.
Well, pretty soon after she got there, seems like he tried to get up out of his bed to go feed that old crow-bait nag of his.
Uh-huh.
Rain had started in again, but then it's pouring down hard, so she made him stay where he was at, and she put on his old hat and throwed his old coat around her to keep off the worst of the wet, and then she started out the back door to do the feeding herself.
Yeah?
And no more'n she got outside and a shot come from the edge of the woods, and down she went with a bullet through her brain.
Killed her.
Dead as a dog.
But who done it?
Well, that low-flung husband of hers done it. That's who. He must have followed her down to Snake Doctor's and then just laid in wait for her.
They certain 'twas him then.
Why, sure thing. Snake Doctor jumped up when he heard the shot, and he catched a quick look at Jafe over the fence.
He did?
Yeah, there was a long streak on Kizzy's arm where he must have whooped her at during the day.
Well, hanging's a sight too good for him to catch him.
No, but they will. Some thinks that he's made for the slashes and hid out there. Tracks led off that way.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they'd be a line of men throwed all the way around Little Cypress before sunup.
Sheriff got there yet?
No, but he's due any minute with his pack of dogs. They telephoned in from Gallup Mills that he's on his way. That trail ought to lay good, ground being damp like it is.
Sure should.
Old Snake Doctor, he's crying on and raving around up at Mourner's place that the Lord's going to strike the murder down his track. I'm putting my main confidence in them bloodhounds. On them first, and then maybe on a stout plow line and a limber tree.
Yeah, it's more certain.
Yeah, I'm just putting out from my place to fetch my oldest boy. I wouldn't want him to miss a lynching. There's a good-sized crowd up there already.
I'll go up and join him. I got a pistol here in my hip pocket. Poor Miss Mourner. She always was
Kizzy.
a good-hearted,
She's
hard-working...
dead. I shot Kizzy.
Did you hear something just there?
I can't say I did.
Probably a rabbit breaking through the brush.
Here, listen.
Huh?
Sheriff's a-coming. You can hear them hounds of his, and I got to hurry. Get up there, Bessie.
I'll see you back tomorrow.
Well, you sure will.
Jafe didn't have time to waste mourning his dead wife. And he was even a little relieved to know that the snake doctor wasn't the devil incarnate. He had a chance against a lynch mob and a pack of bloodhounds. This was the kind of antagonist he could understand and outsmart. Jafe's imagination went to work again as he backtracked along the creek bottom in the spotty moonlight.
Gotta throw them dogs off the trail. Gotta wade the creek, even if it is full of cottonmouths. They must be all around me now. But folks says they don't strike in the water. Well, I hope them folks is right. Gotta get back to the snake doctor's. Get his money while he's still up at my place with Kizzy's remains. And get his money, then the rest would be easy. Make for the deep timber. Cross country to the river. Make it by tomorrow sundown. Hire a shanty boater to ferry me to the Arkansas side. And get a haircut and catch a train for somewhere else. But gotta get Snake Doctor's money first.
Snake Doctor's cabin was dark and empty when Jafe reached it, and he needed light for his search. There were a few dull embers in the fireplace, and he threw on some kindling, but it didn't light. Very well, he knew where the chink was. He'd find it in the dark. He scrabbled at the logs, felt some bark give, felt the clay mortar crumble under his fingernails. Here it was, a hole big enough for a man's arm. He plunged his hand into it, touched something slick and smooth, and then something sharp plunged into his thumb. At that moment, the fire flickered to life. Jafe yanked his hand out of the hole, saw two tiny bleeding punctures in his thumb. At the mouth of the hole stretched the wide-open jaws of a cottonmouth. It worked fast. He felt the pain leaping from his thumb to his hand, seeping up his arm. If he only had some liquor, if he had a fresh-killed chicken to slap on the wound. He had nothing. Then a sharp, horrible pain wrenched his heart, and a second. And there in the firelight, the huge cottonmouth poised in its crevice. Jafe leaped out of the shack and started blindly for the timber, staggered, stumbled, and pitched forward on his face. His open mouth full of weeds and muddy grass stems. The cramping fingers of his outstretched right hand almost touching a reddish-black smear on the wet, trampled grass.
Good riddance, by gravy, that's good riddance. I'd call it that, wouldn't you, Dr. Bradshaw?
Well, I reckon there's sort of a rough justice in the way he died. Look, his hand reaching out. Just about touches the blood where his woman fell. This has been quite a night, Davis. I've just examined the body of a man who appears to have been killed by snake bite. Killed good and quick, too, judging by the evidence.
Well, Doc, ain't that the way a cottonmouth always does kill a man sudden like? I always heard tell that...
Never mind what you heard. I'm going by the facts. I've been practicing medicine in this county for going on to 46 years. And I tell you that in all my life, I've never known but 2 or 3 people actually being bitten by water moccasins. And until tonight, I never had the personal knowledge of anybody dying from a bite of any kind of a snake.
Well, is that a fact? Hey, what's going on over there, Doc?
That Mourner's boy kicking up the fuss?
Yeah, he's a no good, just like his pa.
What's your trouble, Tip?
I'm gonna kill a snake that bitten my paw. Then I'm gonna give that old snake doctor a whooping for keeping a reptile in this place.
Your pa got just what is his due, Fanny. Snake doctor ain't to blame none.
He's a hoodoo devil.
Now, look-a here, boy. Mr. Rives promised all his savings, nearly $100 to pay for burying your ma decent. Now, that's how much he thought of her. Now, go on home, behave yourself.
Yeah, go on, Penny. Ain't
Somebody ought to kill that reptile that bit my paw, and I'm gonna do.
Hey, Doc, just a minute ago you started to say something about snake bite not killing. How you account for Jafe here?
Well, the late Jafe Mourner had a rotten bad heart, Davis.
Oh, he sure did. Yesterday proves that.
I don't mean in that sense. I mean there was an organic weakness. A curious thing, though, there was no swelling anywhere.
Well, there's them 2 marks on his thumb, them snake gashes like some I've seen.
Now, that don't explain how... What's...
Hey, it's Benny Mourner. He's in the cab.
That fool kid, come on, Doc. He's probably shot somebody.
I shot at it, but I didn't hit it. It's going to get me like it got my paw.
Hey, come on, Doc, come on. He said he shot at something in the cabin.
I don't see anything.
Oh, Finney's had enough happen to him yesterday to upset even a bright boy. So we can... Oh, there it is.
What?
That cottonmouth up there in the hole of that log.
Oh, that. The snake doctor told me about that varmint. Look at him closer, David.
Oh, no, sirree, not me.
Go ahead. It's just a stuffed snake.
Stuff?
Yeah. Snake doctor believes in precautions, 'cause that hole's where he hides his money. That snake could scare anybody away who didn't know it was stuffed. But just to be sure, old snake doctor lined the hole with coils of barbed wire.
Oh, I see. You think that them marks on Jafe's thumb was got off of the barbed wire, huh?
It could be. Lots stronger hearts than Jafe Mourner's would have stopped beating at a scare like that.
Well, I'll be sweet. Old snake doctor's a cute one, ain't he?
Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, has brought you Snake Doctor by Irvin S. Cobb, adapted for radio by Fred Howard, who also played Doc Bradshaw. With Bill Conrad as Jafe, Paul Frees as Finney, Ruth Parrott as Kizzy. Barton Yarborough played Davis, Louis Van Ruten played Snake Doctor and Tip Bailey. The original musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fuhrer. Next week...
You were alone in a remote old-world village inhabited by cat people, and you were desired by a beautiful cat girl who wants your soul.
Next week, we escape with Algernon Blackwood's eerie story titled Ancient Sorcerers. Good night, then, until the same time next week when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System.